Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all our viewers. We begin, of course, with oil. We finally got that decision from OPEC. We'll start with oil prices. Predictably, I think it was priced in already. You'll see Brent crude at 72.22 this morning, falling slightly. Same situation, I think, by 12 basis points. 14 basis point drop for West Texas Intermediate at $68 a barrel. So we finally got that decision. And indeed, OPEC, if we take a look at the OPEC Plus decision, they did extend those production cuts. So remember, 2.2 million barrels per day have been taken off the markets. They have decided now for a third time now not to return any barrels to the market because simply where prices are. So I think total production, I'm looking at 39.04, so 40.84 million barrels per day is where we're at, and they've increased the quota for the UAE to about 300,000 barrels today. So the quota is still in place. Remember, I think Iraq and Kazakhstan have actually not been falling in line with respect to those quotas. But again, the whole issue now is going into 2025, Trump wanting to pump more oil, what that means for oil prices in the new year as we are into December now. Asian markets were pretty mixed this morning. The Kospi in Korea still maintaining its weakness that we've seen from the last few days. You see Shanghai Composite Index up by 1.05%. As I mentioned, the Kospi is down by 56 basis points. That's 3 days now in a row of weakness. The Hang Seng, although that's up in Hong Kong, and the Nikkei 225 in Japan, that is down. Let's talk vehicle sales from China. NEVs, new energy vehicles. These are essentially pure play electric vehicles, that's batteries, and also plug-in hybrids, which are half fossil fuel and half electric. Still pretty impressive. 1.46 rather units that were sold year on year. That is a 51% climb in China, 6% month on month. It is now the fifth time in a row that we're seeing new energy vehicles climbing over 1 million units in China. And I know Rufai has talked about this repeatedly, about how China is eating the lunch of other automobile competitors. General Motors is one of them. They actually announced to the markets that they'll be taking a $5 billion hit on their in non-cash charges, which you're going to have to put on their balance sheet from their Chinese business. They have a 50-50 partnership with state-owned SAIC, but however, half of that write-down is coming from, in fact, if we take a look at General Motors challenges, their China challenges, basically, they're not selling enough cars. They used to enjoy a $2 billion cushion coming from China, but it's just more competition. In fact, that's the new energy vehicle sales. About 500,000 of those, that 1.46 came just from BYD. I mean, BYD was so far ahead of the rest of the competition. So it's eating into the margins of competitors like General Motors. So as I said, of that $5 billion write-down, $2.5 billion is the value of their partnership with SAIC. The other $2.5 billion is coming from having to shut down factories. Even Tesla's China sales were down as well. So China, again, continuing to ramp up capacity, and that is eating into the margins of their competitors. We go to U.S. jobless claims. This, of course, are the number of people who are filing for financial assistance from being out of work. Remember, we always get these numbers right before the non-farm payrolls. The big one is the non-farm payrolls, which we'll get later today. But 224,000 people filing for unemployment assistance with the United States Department of Labor data there. The forecast was 215,000, so slightly higher than the forecast, and also higher than what we saw in the prior week at 213,000. Look, again, I'm starting to feel like this is Law and Order, the murder show. This gunning down of the CEO of the United Healthcare has just gripped the United States. Everywhere, everyone is trying to find details on the motive of the killer. We understand there were some particular scribblings on the shell casings of the bullets, which suggests that it's anger against the insurance industry. Healthcare executives in the United States have beefed up their security now. A number of them are walking around with bodyguards, security details, as they try to find out more information. And now they've actually, the New York City, the NYPD has actually released images of the suspect. Again, it's the suspect at this time. He was wearing a mask at the time of the shooting. They said they're using facial recognition technology, but apparently they found out he stayed in a hostel before going to the Hilton Hotel where he shot Brian Thompson, who's the CEO of United Health. They've released some pictures of him. Apparently he also was in a Starbucks before going to the hotel as well. And so the case continues to trying to track him down. Round off with Nigeria. Remember yesterday I provided you with numbers for the latest Treasury bill auction. We're winding down the year, trying to encourage people to gear up their portfolios as we look into 2025. The NGX is up 31% as we close out 2023. So, again, portfolio diversification to get into, buying some stocks in the financial sector, in energy and industrials for Nigeria. I think the insurance sector was the top index yesterday, up by 3.1%, followed by, I think, oil and gas, about 1.1%. And then you had consumer goods and banks lagging. But 31% return, also, that's on the equity side. Remember the money market's latest Treasury bill auction, a true yield of about almost 30% on T-bills, urging all Nigerians to beef up their portfolios looking at 2025. That's our update for today.
Rotus, I always say that if a government acts right, the businesses will benefit. The growth of China's EV sector is because of the government. Do you know how many years that the government was subsidizing all the losses for the likes of BYD? And that's why you see that they have cannibalized the market. So the growth and success of most businesses is also each of what the government is doing for them. Look at Elon Musk. Federal contracts of over $20 billion have been given to Elon Musk in many years. This is also minus the loans he got when he was about starting Tesla from the Barack Obama administration. It speaks volumes. I think it's a clarion call on our government to be able to do something for our auto sector. Innocent, Nord, other people like that, incentivize them, do a lot for them, because when you build this sector, you build an economy where you can now take taxes from, because it's really very important. And as regards to killing, I mean, Rotus, you're very right on the motive, and I think really pretty much in line with what you're thinking. I think probably that person will have an affiliation with someone that's been hurt when they were trying to claim health insurance, or health insurance sectors have done something really bad to them. Because that was not even supposed to get out on TV. Goodness me, Rotus, So oh my God, that's not supposed to be on TV. I don't know who's showing that. So it just...
No, we edited it. We edited that. We made sure we edited right before the actual act actually happened.
So it just speaks volumes of that, and it also shows that these health insurance companies, I know they're in there for the profit, but they should also have an element of human face. And because it's going to favor them a lot, especially when Trump comes in, because it's very pro-business.
Yeah. All right, talking about that, I mean, Rotus, you mentioned that what this has now meant is that a lot of CEOs, not just in pharmaceutical companies, but in other companies that are seen to be high risk, are now seeking protection, and millions of dollars have been spent since the killing earlier this week of Brian Thompson, with a number of them seeking private protection. In fact, CNN had done a profile on Elon Musk. In recent times, he's been very vocal, he's been very controversial. A number of people have talked about his, sometimes contentious stance on issues, and how now we must begin to take things seriously, because until we understand the motive for the shooter, we won't really understand why he made that move, why he took that action. But once you have access to a gun, you're not happy with certain things, or you feel like you want to personally take a stance on something, then it could just become very disastrous at that point. But it just goes to show that there are no risks, there are no jobs without risks. Even things as safe as being, CEO, C-suite executive comes with its own measure of risk. Now, going back to how, let me just touch very quickly, and because of an issue I'd raised earlier, and I'm taking this up because it's one of concern for me, is how government should support businesses so that businesses businesses are able to thrive and are able to, number one, employ, contribute to employment and also be able to pay taxes. But what we see in Nigeria is that we have levies and taxes paid, burdened on businesses, but there's no enabling environment for them to thrive. A case in point, like I mentioned, and I'd like for the government to really respond to what's happening with the Calabar Coastal area, especially the first phase, and the blockage of the road and how it's affecting businesses in the Oniru axis. They need to answer questions around that. What is happening? We cannot shut away businesses and still keep talking about an enabling business environment for business owners.
Okay, you started with Asia, saying that data from Asia is missed. Well, let's start with Japan. Japan, the spending data dropped by about 1.3%, despite the fact that spending grew 2.9% in October. That may be responsible for the missed data. But India is going to give us its interest rate today, Friday, and we expect that that will be, they will hold the rate at 6.5%. But the major issue in India has to do with growth. Growth by the end of the quarter, ending September, was reported at 5.4%, contrary to the 6.5% expected by economists. And the big concern is that this is signaling slower growth in 2025 for India, a country that says it wants to be, the third largest economy in the world by the year 2027. What are the issues? Slow demand, unemployment rates going up, and all of that. But that is India. In the U.S., you've talked about the U.S., but the big news from the U.S., in my view, is the appointment of David Sachs as the artificial intelligence and crypto czar, which was announced on Truth Social yesterday by President-elect Trump, when he said his assignment is to build a legal framework and also to monitor, the crypto space and to protect that industry against big tech and other people that could take advantage of it, and to promote free expression, Donald Trump was saying. Well, this has shown that he's supporting people who supported him in Silicon Valley, and also a lot of excitement in the crypto industry. Even if Bitcoin, by Thursday afternoon, went down below the threshold of 100,000. I think it's now 99,140. But at least we'll read that milestone this week. As for OPEC, they're going to keep production cuts till March 2025. Thereafter, what they will be doing will be, reducing gradually. But the issue is slow consumption from China, higher production by the United States, but the larger objective is market stability. Thank you very much, Rotus.